result that makes history here at Monza this afternoon. Sebastian Vettel, by winning the Italian Grand Prix, becomes the youngest winner in the history of Grand Prix motor racing. An extraordinary performance from him this afternoon. Heikki Kovalainen solid in second. Robert Kubica takes third for BMW. And then the order: Alonso, Heidfeld, Massa just in front of Hamilton. For a while, Hamilton even threatened race victory himself, but the hoped-for downpour just didn't come. Mark Webber completes the point scorers. And this is how the Drivers' Championship looks. Damage limitation for Lewis Hamilton, and he stays ahead of Felipe Massa by a single point in the Drivers' Championship. 78 to 77. There may be further points coming as a result of that McLaren appeal in Paris, but don't hold your breath on that one. And we have Massimo Rivola, the team manager from Toro Rosso, here with us alongside Mark Blundell as well. Try to sum up the emotions of this day and this moment.
Wow, very difficult. It's just unbelievable, for sure unforgettable. I think Sebastian wrote something in F1 history, the youngest, and the first victory, the first podium is number one. Unbelievable.
Put all this into context for you, because you were there in the Minardi days as well, and you must have thought that a day like this was way off in the distance.
Yeah, well, we always dream in a podium. So the first podium is P1 in Italy, in Monza. That is one of the most amazing racetracks of the world. Still difficult to believe, but the good thing is that we never believe that we couldn't do it. So now that we do it, that we did it, is an additional motivation, and we just want to keep going. It's
absolutely.
Such a good thing.
Well, the race started under the safety car. Just take a look at the start for us if you've got a moment.
I have to say that that was an help for us.
Yeah, and well, there was disappointment for Sebastian Bourdais, and we share that disappointment.
The car, but unfortunately
well,
at that point it was too late to restart it, so we had to put him in the pit exit. But when you start behind the safety car, you don't have a formation lap. So basically, we didn't have the time to make it in time, and he lost the lap. But he did a fantastic race, I have to say.
But then Sebastian Vettel got it absolutely right, didn't he?
Well, I think that his curriculum is just him. 21 years old, looks 50 in terms of driving style, and the attitude he has in the car. Is such a mature guy. It's unbelievable. And on white condition is really awesome.
Go and enjoy the celebrations. Go and enjoy
Thanks a lot.
the moment.
Thanks
for
very
joining
much.
us.
Thanks, ciao.
Mark, we'll get your reaction in just a moment. Let's hear from the Italian Grand Prix winner in the press conference right now.
Suddenly I realized I'm in front of him on the straight line, but I didn't saw it at all. So it's not easy starting in the middle of the pack, especially in this condition, but I keep car on the track. We did face some problems on the pressures on the tires. When the track was drying up, we were, I think, with Fernando struggling a lot. Lewis got by easy. He was much quicker, but I think then we were a bit lucky that we stayed longer, so we were able to put the intermediate straight away.
So we've seen in that press conference an emotional Sebastian Vettel, who today has become the youngest winner in the history of Grand Prix motor racing. And Mark, we've seen something special, haven't we?
We have, and I think all those guys, they're all new boys on the block, and they've all won Grand Prix now. But I have to say, the one by Vettel today is the most impressive, because a lot of pressure on his shoulders, pole position, led from that, under the safety car, had to deal with that, and he drove superbly. He didn't put 1 foot wrong, no mistakes whatsoever. And a little Toro Rosso car, it's just been mid-pack. It hasn't been featuring at all at the front, and he's made something with it today, and it's exceptional.
Well, that's it. He wasn't in a McLaren or a Ferrari or a BMW, but he was under pressure at the start, and he got it absolutely right, didn't he?
He did. He nailed it. No problem whatsoever. And you could see actually before this even got underway, he was making sure he had plenty of heat in his tyres, and he made the advantage in that stake, what he mentioned earlier, of having the visibility, and that really played into his hands. But as I say, he made it count. He didn't make one mistake. And there's a lot of experienced guys, a lot of Grand Prix winners and world champion behind him. And I think today is a fantastic result for him.
He didn't exactly have an incident-packed race compared to the races that some others had behind him. But what impressed you the most about the way he controlled the race today?
Just maturity. I mean, 21 years old. He's just a young guy. He's growing up. He hasn't got that many Grand Prix under his belt, let alone racing full stop. But just to see him handle this situation, handle the race, and handle the pressure, takes such a great deal of maturity.
Brilliant and historic first win for Sebastian Vettel. We will talk about other aspects of the race, notably the extraordinary contribution of Lewis Hamilton. Hopefully we'll hear from Lewis as well when we return in a couple of minutes. Sebastian Vettel, at 21 years old, has won the Italian Grand Prix, so Lewis Hamilton is no longer the new great talent on the block, but he had an amazing afternoon, and for a while it looked from 15th on the grid as if he could win this.
It did, and I think actually during the middle part of this race, Lewis Hamilton was sensational. I mean, he pulled off some great moves, and it felt like, you know, it was a Hamilton of old coming through the pack. And just watch him there, just taking place off Fisichella. Fisichella in the Force India doing a great job, but just couldn't do anything about holding Lewis Hamilton back. And I think at this stage, really, Lewis just took a while to get going at a fuel level on board that was going to take him for a one-stop race, and unfortunately that was the key to his race. He had to come in and change his tyres when the weather conditions didn't suit, but these moves here that he pulled off, textbook stuff, just dipping underneath the Ferrari of Raikkonen there, going into the Lesmo corner, very difficult. You can see him fighting with the car there, making sure he stays on track, just applying as much throttle as he dare, but at the same time, great deal of skill and judgment involved.
But the very varied form that we've seen from Lewis, not only in the race today, but also in qualifying yesterday. What has been the reason behind that? Has it just been car setup, fuel load, tyres?
I think it's just been a case of a little bit of confidence just gone adrift. And, you know, I know there's been some talk of him not having the brakes up to temperature and stuff like that, but I think it just a little bit of mistiming, not being in the right place at the right time. But when things were right for him, he made sure that they counted. And as I say, the amount of time you saw him pulling off these moves, lap after lap after lap. But unfortunately, as the race went on, it just didn't go his way, and he had to come in and pit, and that kind of killed the whole result for him.
And this one on Mark Webber was one of the best of the day, wasn't it?
Yeah, clean move by Lewis again, and just going into the chicane there, again, very aggressive. Hamilton of old, just getting those curbs underneath the car and making the most of it.
And if the rain had come, would he have won it?
I think there was a big chance of him winning it, but saying that, Vettel was sensationally fast as well. It would have been a great dice.
OK, let's hear from Lewis right now. I think he's been talking with Louise.
We do quick. Lewis, it was looking so good at the early stages, but you really needed that rain to fall again, didn't you?
I did, yeah. I think today I wasn't really lucky. I think I drove a really good race. I took it easy at the beginning and then started to close and hunt everyone down and pulled off some good moves when I needed to. And I was coming through the field. I think I was up to second at one stage, and if it rained, we would have won. So, but it didn't happen. Is it Sebastian that won? Yeah. Congratulations to Sebastian. Obviously, he done a great race, and at least it was damage control. We came away with some points, and we're still in the lead of the championship. So.
You were incredibly quick when you first made the switch to Winchester, but then you just seemed to lose the pace. What happened there? Did you just overcook the tyres, maybe?
Well, once I got behind Felipe, yeah, I just overcooked the tyres, and then that was it. I struggled to stay with him, and then I was defending I wanted to keep my points, so I was defending that, and but you know, I'm happy with that.
You mentioned the championship situation. It's really just a 1 point net loss to Felipe. How much of a relief is that, given where you started and where he started this race?
Yeah, it's definitely a relief knowing that we came out here with some points and we didn't lose too many to anyone else. I mean, it would have been a real shame, a real mess up, a real big mistake if we had come out here having not scored points and Felipe scored loads more than me. So it was good to get past Kimi, and it was good to hunt them down. But next race we'll battle back.
So Lewis suggesting there that in the latter stages of the race he reached a point where he thought, I'll settle for this, and that's encouraging in terms of the championship.
Yeah, I think he knows that there's points there what he had to make sure he left here with, and you know, he did that. But Massa didn't make the most of what was available to him today. But saying that, I think Ferrari were very difficult to drive in the wet conditions. Saw that with Raikkonen way back as well. But I think this is important that he's drawn something from it. But I think also the mistakes are made yesterday, not today in the race, and I think very costly to his end result. OK, Massa rather blew his chance then, and Lewis will come away from here mighty encouraged, I think, for Singapore in 2 weeks' time. I think he will, and I think Singapore is going to be a circuit that suits the McLaren. I think there's an air of confidence again going forward. Ferrari are on their back foot slightly.
Well, Lewis always had a father's support behind him in terms of Anthony. Sebastian Vettel has won here today, and we can hear from his father, Norbert Vettel.
Norbert. Yeah, down here with Sebastian's dad, Sebastian Vettel's dad, Norbert. A crazy day. How happy are you?
It's a crazy day. All guys for the team is very perfect. All guys. Thank you very much.
And what is this going to mean to Sebastian? So young.
He's good guy. He's perfect. Thank you.
Okay, well done, Norbert.
It was a crazy day. And the good thing about it is we haven't had a phone call from the stewards yet.
Not yet. You know, actually amazing as well. We saw so many manoeuvres taking place, but what you did see was drivers dropping back, letting the guys go in front and getting themselves sorted out. And they weren't making another move until after the next corner. So at least something's been gained from the Spa problems.
There were times in the commentary when you heard Martin Brundle saying, well, Lewis is pushing his luck just a bit. Was there the odd moment out there?
I think there was a couple of points that he is actually using a little bit, maybe too much circuit in some ways. But saying that, he's a racing driver. It's Lewis Hamilton. He wants to do the best he can. And I think he did a great job today, but just wasn't quite good enough.
But Sebastian will get all the headlines from this Italian Grand Prix. Sebastian Vettel, the youngest winner in the history of Grand Prix motor racing. I think we can hear from him once again now.
About 160 people working in Faenza, and I think every single one today feels very special and can feel very special. And I mean, I'm one of them, so we are a big team, and I feel extremely happy.
Sebastian Vettel there, summing up his emotions at the end of the press conference. What does the future hold for that young man, do you feel?
It's a big future ahead of him, but again, he's going to Red Bull next year. You saw that car wasn't as good as a Toro Rosso that he's driving today. He's going to have some question marks whether they can deliver something for him to drive. But if they do, they now know that they've got a Grand Prix winner. And actually, he could be a future world champion. 21 years old, so much ahead of him.
And the way ahead for this championship, we've got, 4 races left. And we know little about the next venue in Singapore.
New for everybody. A lot of people trying to gather as much data as they can. Night race, all different conditions. Everybody's going to want to go asleep, but they can't. They've got to go racing. So just wait and see. But 1 point between them, fascinating.
Well, that's coming up in 2 weeks' time. Mark, thanks very much indeed. Let's just remind you of what sport is coming up for the rest of the day here on ITV. And it includes all the highlights from the second week of the Guinness Premiership Rugby. That's coming up on ITV4 at 6:30, followed by today's action from the Tour of Britain Cycling, ITV4 at 8. And then on Tuesday evening, we're into the group stages of the Champions League with live coverage of Liverpool's match in Marseille on ITV1 and Chelsea against Bordeaux. That'll be live on ITV4 with highlights to come later in the evening at 10:40 ITV1. Then next Sunday, it's back to motor racing.
Here comes the Italian. This could be crucial. No one knows what's going to happen. Giovanardi's got in front. How did he do that? Plato will not be liking this. Aggressive stuff. Oh no, it's him again, Giovanardi.
It's a dirty way to fight.
If it is foul play, that's pretty cool. This is great stuff. Plato's doing everything asked of him. So Plato versus Giovanardi. That's exactly what they wanted to keep that championship alive.
I expect Jason Plato performance.
Hopefully I'll be the one lifting the trophy.
Final weekend of the British Touring Car Championship at Brands Hatch next Sunday afternoon, and the next Formula One action, Singapore in 2 weeks. Into the unknown with the sport's first ever night race, but for you it'll be 2:10 in the afternoon for qualifying on Saturday and the race on Sunday at 12 midday under the lights of the spectacular street circuit in Singapore. Round 15 of this championship in 2 weeks' time. Big question for Singapore. Will it rain? Lewis Hamilton was desperate for a downpour today, and it didn't rain, but young Sebastian Vettel was the master of all the weather conditions that we had at Monza this weekend. And the long-term forecast is that today we've seen a great champion of the future winning the Italian Grand Prix. Sebastian Vettel, the youngest winner in Grand Prix history.